Chapter 196 Divine Flame Reconstruction. Rune after rune was fused into the snow pearl, making the snow pearl less and less agitated. However, it was still slowly growing, inch by inch. When it had first appeared, it was only the size of an infant's fist. Now, however, it was as big as an apple, and was slowly growing to the size of a watermelon. Its regular spherical shape had also become more and more irregular. Something seemed to be squirming inside. Electrolux wore a slight smile on his face, but his body was becoming more illusory by the moment. The snow pearl slowly showed a strange scene. Something seemed to be moving underneath the golden, transparent film. Upon closer inspection, it seemed like a human embryo. Ow, blood. Electrolux shouted. Ow opened his eyes wide and spat out fresh blood, which landed on the snow pearl. Suddenly, the force within the embryo seemed to stabilize and calm down. It slowly turned into a ball of golden light that flew towards Ow. The two sect masters stopped restricting it, because Electrolux gestured at them not to do so. The last golden rune also flew out of Electrolux's hand and landed accurately on the snow pearl, which had absorbed Ow's blood and slowly turned milky white. As golden light flashed, the snow pearl drifted in front of Ow. The staff in Electrolux's hand turned into a golden streak of light, which flew out and went into Ow's eye of destiny. Small, golden whirlpools appeared within the eye of destiny. Then a golden light expanded, and easily engulfed the snow pearl embryo. As lights flashed, the snow pearl disappeared. Teacher. Ow's body jerked. Blood seeped out of his pores. His face became even paler. He was subjected to the rebound from immense forces. When everything ended, he was about to succumb to his injuries. Electrolux smiled. Although the remnants of my divine senses can't store all my past memories, I know that you're not my only disciple. However, you are very outstanding, and I'm very pleased with you. You must remember never to be extreme. If one's heart is upright, they will be upright. No matter what strength it is, it will only be used for appropriate purposes in the hands of the just. Teacher, come back inside quickly. Ow exclaimed anxiously. He wanted to move towards Electrolux, but he immediately collapsed after he got off the frigid jade essence bed. Electrolux sighed. You're a fool. Have I taught you for nothing? Can't you feel what strength I'm using to help the Snow Empress be reborn as an embryo? It's just a pity that she doesn't have a body. Otherwise, I could have given her a real rebirth. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know what she'll become, lose or gain, after I do this. At least you are all safe. The Snow Empress will also be tightly bound to you. Teacher. Tears streamed down from Ow's eyes. Even though his internal organs were on fire and blood was seeping out of his pores, he still struggled to crawl towards Electrolux. Of course he knew what strength Electrolux was using. The two golden flares had played decisive roles. They were the flames of Electrolux's divine sense. The remnants of his divine sense had been the fuel for the flames. The Calamity Necromancer had used the last of his divine sense to save them. However, he didn't inform anyone before doing this. Electrolux smiled and said, if you reach that stage one day, this world might really possess conditions that permit the existence of gods. You might find the remnants of my divine sense somewhere, or use the delicate connection that we have to restore the flame of my divine sense. I'll be waiting for that day. Don't be sad. To me, it's not my first time dying. What's so scary about death? Didn't we just create a new form of life? I'm very happy. Gentlemen, please help me. His last sentence was directed at the two sect masters. The sect master lifted Ow up from the ground. Before Ow could catch a glimpse of what he did next, he passed out. The strength of a god? You used the strength of a god just now? The second sect master couldn't help but ask. At this point, everything in the room had returned to normal. Only, now the frigid jade essence bed had lost its original icy qualities and become a rock. Electrolux nodded slightly. I can also feel the auras of gods from your bodies. There's also a sense of righteousness. I don't have much time to speak anymore. Gentlemen, please trust my judgment. My disciple is kind and sincere. He'll be a good partner. Don't put him in a hard spot anymore, and help me comfort him. You can tell him how he can resurrect me from your perspectives. Electrolux smiled as he spoke till here and slowly drifted to the window. He looked far away with his elderly gaze. The sea of clouds around Clear Sky Peak was slowly being restored after being scattered by the terrifying auras earlier. He revealed a slight smile as he saw this magnificent view. This was probably the last time he would gaze upon this world. The room was very quiet. Everything was returning to normal, as if nothing had happened at all. The sect master and second sect master were looking silently at his golden figure. It was slowly dimming. A look of respect was revealed in their eyes. Although they had only interacted with him for a short period of time, they knew that he had just sacrificed his life to save Ow. Electrolux was gazing into the distance, but his gaze turned dimmer and dimmer. He eventually turned into a spot of golden light that drifted towards Ow's forehead. It entered his head and disappeared. A strange-looking, greyish soul ring slowly rose from Ow's body. When this soul ring appeared, Electrolux's figure flashed for an instant before disappearing. When his visage flashed, his eyes were no longer shining. The second sect master was shocked as he asked, this soul ring is grey? The sect master sighed and looked at Ow in his arms. He said, although I don't know the kind of experiences that divine sense from another world has gone through, I could sense the pure light and the vicissitudes of life from him. It's really this brat's fortune to have such a teacher. This grey soul ring is possibly the last shred of strength that his teacher left behind for him. The second sect master revealed an upset look on his face and muttered, elder brother, I miss our past life. However, we still can't return to those days. The sect master smiled and said, there are both losses and gains. We're already quite fortunate. In fact, I'm actually eager to see what kind of existence we've just created. The force that erupted in Ow's body should belong to a soul beast, which is possibly a Srom, being that sealed their own powers. The seal must have encountered some kind of problem, thus leading to the risks earlier. It's really our responsibility. As he spoke, he pointed to the dim frigid jade essence bed. The second sect master snapped. This is also considered our responsibility. We didn't let him cultivate here, and one of our treasures was destroyed. If not for Wang Dong, and make him compensate us for it. Haha. The sect master laughed loudly and said, all right, what's there to be calculative about? Go and tell everyone to return since the problem has been resolved. Ow was in a deep sleep. He only felt that he'd lost something important. Pain, sorrow and other emotions engulfed him in his dreams. As he was struggling to wake from his dream, a streak of light appeared in front of him. An elegant and ravishing beauty in a long blue dress appeared and snuggled beside him. Her hair and eyes were pinkish blue, and she wore a look of anguish in her eyes. What? Is that the goddess of light? Ow wanted to grab hold of her, but he realized that he couldn't do anything. The sorrow that he felt also slowly faded as the goddess of light appeared. The goddess of light brought positivity into his mind and allowed him to relax in his sleep. There seemed to be a gentle singing voice comforting his sorrowful spirit. After some time, Ow woke from his sleep. When he awoke, he first felt the tremendous changes to his spiritual sea. At least 2/3 of his vast spiritual sea had dried up. A strong feeling of weakness made it difficult for him to even open his eyes. His passageways were aching greatly too. His soul power was still there, but its circulation was very messy. If not for the purity of his mysterious heaven technique, he would have been in great danger of losing control of what was left over. His body was in an even worse condition than it had been when he had helped Juzi. Back then, he had only suffered external injuries. However, he'd sustained internal injuries this time, including injuries to his spirit and mind. But the pain that came from his body made it difficult for him to think. The only thing he could do now was slowly recover from his injuries. He struggled to summon his spiritual power to control the circulation of his soul power. However, he almost fell unconscious. He almost fell unconscious a few times throughout even the simple process. Although he couldn't think deeply, he could still remember everything he had lost. That was why he still remained resolute and continued to forcibly control his soul power. His mysterious heaven technique and soul power eventually managed to circulate normally, and everything slowly returned to peak conditions. His passageways weren't too critically damaged, and there was even another wave of thick spiritual energy fused within his body that coordinated with the circulation of the mysterious heaven technique. The relaxation of his body also helped him gradually recover his spiritual energy. However, Ow was appalled to discover that his spiritual sea had been damaged to such a large extent. It was like his spiritual reservoir had shrunk to 1/3 its original size, causing his spiritual power to decrease greatly. Fortunately, his understanding of spiritual power still existed, and his control hadn't faltered. As he worked hard to control and stimulate his spiritual sea, it managed to restore its circulation. The weakness that he felt also gradually gradually faded away. He could also sense his eye of destiny, where his second mental sea was. His eye of destiny was the only part of his body that was unhurt. He heaved a sigh of relief because of this. If even his eye of destiny was hurt, his cultivation would probably fall by at least 30%. Yu slowly discovered something strange. It wasn't entirely bad news everywhere. A ball of golden light was floating in his eye of destiny. A golden embryo was gestating within this ball of light. It seemed to be unable to penetrate the layer of film and come out. He could also clearly sense that the part of his spiritual power that had disappeared seemed to be in this golden embryo. The strange golden embryo seemed to be closely linked to him. This feeling was very weird. It was like another him was developing in his body. But this other self didn't just possess his aura, it also possessed an aura that he was familiar with. His spiritual sea was empty. He could only subtly sense two spiritual imprints in it, but they seemed to have been greatly hurt and had entered a deep sleep. 2. Why were there only 2 left? In fact, Yu's chanting had been guided by Electrolux, who was also chanting incantations. At that point in time, he had been under Electrolux's control. He had entered a half-conscious state and remembered very little of what happened. I'm not dead. This was Yu's first reaction after he could slowly control his spiritual sea. However, he was extremely mournful when he realized that there were only 2 spiritual imprints asleep in his spiritual sea. He didn't know who they were, but the 2 that had disappeared were probably, as he thought till here, Yu only felt that he was completely engulfed in sorrow. He felt extreme heartache. At this point, a streak of golden light shot out of his eye of destiny and landed in his spiritual sea. The golden light shone, and a familiar aura spread. Its appearance caught immediately Yu's attention. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.